Hey, how you doing? This is RJ. Today I'm going to talk about SJWs, their use of monopolies, and how their use of monopolies means that they are coming for your favorite pastime. If they have not got a hold of it yet, they will be coming for it. And if they have gotten a hold of your favorite pastime, like comics, and you think they're done with it, you need to buckle up, because the worst is yet to come. And the thing is that SJWs, they are socialist, communist-minded people. You even have that funny little man at Marvel who's fairly high up there at Marvel tweeting out last month that he's a socialist and he hates money, right? So your SJWs, they're socialists. And the thing is about socialism is that it's a constructed system. And this is why it needs a monopoly and will always tend towards a monopoly. And when you have another system, like let's say capitalism, I'm always going on about how great capitalism is. And I know it has its faults, but it actually produces what it's supposed to produce. The thing is that it works that way partly because it is based on an understanding of human nature and the needs of human nature, and it tries to fulfill those needs of human nature. Now, when you're thrown into a system like that, that's based on something like human nature, you can be thrown into it and pretty much understand the rules without anybody really having to explain them to you. You know, it's a fairly short learning process, and that learning usually is self-referential. You can say, it is fulfilling my needs, and therefore I kind of understand what's going on here. And at the same time, you understand that following the rules of this system is also beneficial to yourself. And all you need to do, again, is be self-referential. You say, oh, this is fulfilling my needs, so I'll follow the rules of this system because it is fulfilling my needs and I want my needs fulfilled, and yada yada. It works that way and very easily and simply that way. But when you have things like socialism, it is a constructed system. Socialists don't believe in any kind of human nature because, of course, human nature would mean that you can draw rules out of that, and they don't want to have to follow any rules besides the rules that they make up for themselves. So the thing is that it's a entirely constructed system. So because they don't have any reference to human nature and they don't want any reference to human nature, it has to be entirely constructed. It's like game theory. It's just rules based upon rules based upon rules based upon rules, and it always just either is based upon another set of rules or circular and based upon rules that have gone before it. So it's a system that is constructed. It doesn't have any self-referential basis like your capitalism does. And because of that, it cannot compete with things like capitalism, because capitalism doesn't need to divide its resources to produce a product and to follow rules or produce the rules or to enforce the rules. It doesn't need to divide anything, because everything with your following the rules and everything with your understanding how it works is pretty much self-referential and is easy. So they don't need to divide their resources in capitalism. But in socialism, well, they need to divide the resources. They need to divide the resources between producing the product and making the rules wherein this system works and enforcing the rules wherein this system works and all of these other things. And so since they have to divide the resources to do all of these things, they simply can't keep up with something like capitalism. And because they can't keep up with it, well, the only way it will stand, the only way it will eventually take over or even keep itself alive is through monopolies. That's why socialism always tends towards monopoly. That's why when you have a government that's socialist, it always tends towards a dictatorship. Because what is a dictatorship? Well, it's a monopoly of power, of course. And so they're always headed towards monopoly. And that's what happens in a socialist system. So this is why the SJWs are going to be coming for your favorite pastime. Because, of course, they need to teach people these rules. And we all know from history that one of the best ways to teach people rules, especially in an underhanded way so they don't even know it, is through entertainment. And one of the things that socialists are always trying to do is they're trying to get away with not putting too much effort into teaching people these rules or enforcing the rules. And the best way to do that, and they've done this from the beginning, is to teach the rules to children as if they are the only rules that are applicable at all. So they brainwash the children into thinking that the socialist rules are the only rules that you can follow, and if you break those rules, everything's going to fall apart, without ever telling them that they're all constructed rules and they don't actually have any reference to reality or the outside world or human nature or anything else. So they do this to children, and this is how, and they've done it to children for a while, and this is how and why they go through entertainment, and this is how and why they will look for and try to hold on to every form of entertainment that there is out there, because again, they can't compete with anything else. If there is any competition, they will fail eventually. So they need to wipe out any competition. Therefore, they need to have a monopoly. And that's why they are coming for your favorite pastime, of course, because if they haven't got there, they are coming for it 100%. They are coming for it in the future because they can't brook any competition. They can't have that at all. And they've finally gotten to a position where they're pretty much in control of teaching children what and how to think, and that their system is the actual set of rules. And the thing is that since they have that, they need to ensure that there is no competition whatsoever. And again, so that's why they've been moving, from video games into comic books, into now tabletop games, and will keep on moving through every one of these, through every kind of entertainment, especially those that are consumed by children, to make sure that they are firmly under their control. Now, this leads into the reason why comic books, since it is already controlled almost top to bottom by SJWs, except for a couple of small little publishers. They are controlled top to bottom by SJWs. This is why the worst is yet to come, because now we have an alternative for the comic industry and for comic production. We Are Building a Spaceship is a parallel industry to the big comic industry, and it has to be a separate parallel industry that has no overlap with the old industry at all, because they tried to play the game of the old industry and they were summarily kicked out, and then they tried to do it again by using some of the systems of the old industry, and they were again frozen out of being able to produce comics. So they had to build themselves a parallel industry, or are building now a parallel industry to the old comic industry. And the thing is that this is now competition for that big industry. Yes, it's going to be a David and Goliath fight, but of course, Goliath is the old industry. David is the new industry being put together by the people like Richard Meyer, like Ethan Van Sciver, like John Malin, like the Brightwisers, like a number of other people and independent comic creators. It's not really a system that is put together and held together tightly like the old comic system. It's more a confederacy of these people and these creators. And the thing is that even though it is this loose confederacy, they are building this system which is a parallel system, and they have been shut out of actually using anything from the old system really, and that's good, because if there is anything that overlaps, the SJWs are going to use that in order to try to control them. Then they have to build this parallel system. But a parallel system means competition, and this is where things are going to get nasty. And we've already seen a little bit of this poking its head out, because you've seen things like people trying to bully the small publishing companies or anybody that has anything even remotely just to do with Richard Meyer or We Are Building a Spaceship or with comicsgate, with the attack on Alterna. And you also have a little bit of rumblings from this when you have people who used to work with Richard Meyer a long time ago when he first started getting into comic books, putting out apologies for actually knowing him or working with him, like a preemptive strike, sort of, to say, I apologize, please don't hold this against me. But the thing is that this is why it's going to start to get even more nasty than it is right now. Because historically, and I could even say even a little bit personally, when I run into this problem and see this problem that you have a socialist system which looks like it has a monopoly, and suddenly there appears some kind of competition, things start to go south very quickly. And the thing is that their usual tactic is to, of course, attack anybody that has any connection with this new system at all, to demonize them. And that is what is happening right now. That's what all of this concentrated effort really from all the creators, which looks to be just, separate creator that works in Marvel or DC or any of the smaller publishers, coming out and trying to attack comicsgate and make it look like, and to demonize it and make it look like it's a hate group and make it look like that we're all racist or whatever, and they're trying to demonize it. But of course, that's just making things better for comicsgate because, well, any publicity is good publicity, and so it's just driving people towards us to see what's going on, and then they're seeing, well, look, they're actually just producing a good product and staying there. So it's not actually working. So the next step usually is the following, and this is, again, where it's going to start to get nasty, is that since there is nothing they can do, since there is nothing left for the SJWs really to do to try and control this new parallel system that is setting itself up, because it doesn't have anything to do with their system, it's completely separate from their system, therefore they cannot use their influence to control it. They've already tried to kill it through various means. They've already tried to smear it through various means. None of those have worked. It has just driven people towards it rather than away from it. Then the next step is actually to see results of comicsgate making some kind of negative impact on the industry altogether. But the thing is, of course, that the way that they're going to show this is not to actually show that comicsgate is producing a negative effect on the industry. The way normally that this is actually produced is these SJWs are going to attack their own industry from within and then blame the results on comicsgate and We Are Building a Spaceship. And again, we have seen rumblings of this already with the fact that they have been saying, look, you are taking money away from these small comic shops and you think that you actually want to help support comic shops, you're just taking money away from them. And people in comicsgate are saying, well, you stopped us from selling in comic stores, so that's your problem, not ours. And that's just the very tip of the iceberg. What they're going to try to do, and it's not going to be as open as that little foray that already came forward. It is going to be that they are going to start to literally attack parts of their own industry. Probably the smaller companies. That's why you've already seen the attack on Alterna. There's going to be attacks on other smaller companies and smaller parts of the industry, and they are going to be destroyed from within. And certainly there are going to be plenty of artists and storytellers and people who work in comics. They are going to be the first target, and then they'll move up from those to actual parts of the industry and start to destroy them and to blame the effects on comicsgate. That is the next step. That is the next level. That is their usual tactic that they move on to and is going to be coming in the future. And this person who put out this apology, who said, I worked with Richard Meyer before any of this happened and I didn't know who he was and all of this other stuff, he's going to be one of the first to go. He's going to be guillotined right off the bat. And they're going to move up, and they're going to move up, and they're going to start to destroy people's lives, and they're going to start to destroy people's companies from within in a way that is not really evident to anybody that they're doing so, and then blame the effects on comicsgate. That's what is going to be coming next. That is the normal progression of your SJW socialists and their use of monopolies and how they cannot stand any kind of competition. All right, so if I give you anything new to think about, I just wanted to do this short little video because I really see this coming in what is going on right now, and the little forays, little attacks that have been made against comicsgate, because they have been small. These are just the tip of the iceberg. So if I give you anything new to think about, hit like, hit subscribe, leave me a message, give me something new to think about. All right, I'll see you later. Bye.